Good morning everyone, and welcome to the northwest of England where it's raining. It's been a really weird week. Beginning of the week, over the weekend it was beautiful sunshine and I was playing around with some wire in the garden under the parasol. And today during recording, if you can hear some pitter-patter of rain on my conservatory roof, then I apologise. It's been a very strange week. Lots of things going on, and YouTube is a very odd thing, as much as I absolutely adore being here with you all. And I just make these videos for my own mental health, really. It keeps me occupied. But it's very strange when you make a video and you think that's everyone's going to love this and it's going to be wonderful and brilliant, and it completely bombs. So all of you guys that made my mandala with the chainmail, thank you so much for indulging me. And for the rest of you guys, if that's not your bag, then literally just let me know in the comments what you'd like to see from me. So I'm not spending hours making a video that nobody watches. I've watched it 14 times, so it's fine. I'm only messing. Anyway, so in order to recreate what a chaotic week I've had, I thought today we would take it on board and make some chaos beads. These are called chaos beads, I think. I call them jumble beads or faffing beads or whatever, because these guys are so cute and they're just completely random and chaotic. And as you can see, you can make them plain. Oh, here comes the rain. Can you hear that? Anyway, if it gets too bad, I'll just have to cut off the video and try again later. Otherwise, ignore it. So you can make these guys just plain, or you can make them with beads, as I've done with this cute necklace here. So you can make them as stations for necklaces, for bracelets. I've made like a rainbow style one here, just because I like rainbow colours and I like bright colours. You can also use, these are 11O seed beads, but you can also use tiny 2 or 3 millimeter, well, probably 2 millimeter beads if you have them in your stash, to make them with the round beads and to make them into earrings as well. So you can use these guys for all sorts of things. I particularly like these. Look how sparkly they are. Beautiful, aren't they? So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make the plain ones, how to make the seed bead ones, and how to make the round 2 or 3 millimeter beaded ones as well for earrings and things like that. All right, so stay tuned and we'll go through a materials list. So I'll see you in a couple of seconds. And we're back. So let's go through a materials list, shall we? So for the core of the beads, let me find a spare. If I have a spare, here we go. So for the core of the beads, we're going to be using 1.25 millimeter, which is 16 gauge bare copper wire. This is soft wire. You can use any wire you like, anything at all, which is great. I mean, I think these would look lovely in silver as well, why is my camera struggling? There we go. So I will probably make these in some silver ones as well. I haven't done up to now because, as you know, I absolutely love the colour of copper. But the core is made with 1.25 millimeter 16 gauge wire. For the wrapping, you will need some 0.6 millimeter wire, 0.6 millimeter wire, which is 22 gauge, I believe. All right, so that's your wires. You will also need my usual suspects, I call them, a pair of flush cutters. You will need at least one pair of your favourite chain nose. I always have 2 on hand because you just never know. When you're wrapping the little wire wrap bead unit onto your earrings, you will need 2 pairs anyway, so go ahead and with your 2. And you'll need some 6-step bail making pliers. Mine are 2 to 9 increments. However, if you're proficient in your round nose, go ahead and use those, whichever you want. You're going to need a measuring tape because the 0.6 wire, we're going to need quite a few inches for each of the units. And after that, all you'll need excuse me, are some 11O seed beads of your choosing. Again, I like greens and turquoises with copper. I just think it looks beautiful. Here I'm using Miyuki 110 Turquoise Ceylon. And the code is there if you can read that, if you wanted these particular ones. For the earrings, you'll need a couple of little crystals that match or don't match the beads. Just use whatever you want. And for the earrings, I'm going to be using red ones today. So you will need probably I would say 2mm, or possibly get away with 3mm bead. So just pick out from your stash whatever you like. All right, so we'll see you in a few moments and we'll get going. Okay, so we're back, guys. Have you got all of your materials ready? Let's go for it, shall we? I really like these little guys, mainly because they represent what a really weird week I've had. Sitting in the garden, literally looking at the flowers in the sunshine, and literally a few days later, it's horrendous weather. Things have gone pear-shaped at home. There's lots of things going on. Who'd have kids? How many of us have got children? Good Lord, honestly. So let's make these and add a bit of chaos into our lives, shall we? So to make the plain ones, which are these little cute guys here, they're super easy to make, and the principles apply to the beaded ones as well. So we'll go ahead and make this one first, all right? So pop that out of the way. We'll pop that out of the way. So you take your 16 gauge, 1.25mm wire, give it a bit of a stretch, and flush cut the end, as always. So I neglected to tell you, naughty Sam, that you would need a ruler as well, because we're going to be measuring out 4 centimetres of wire. Obviously, with me being European, we do tend to use centimetres. So for you guys that use inches, that's 1 and, gosh, what is that? Just short of 1 3/4 inches. I can't work out the 8ths there or the 16ths, but anyway, you get the idea. 4 centimetres. Let's make it 4 centimetres. Right, so here we have our length of wire. So we come in with our chain nose. What we want to do is to put a little loop on either side. Obviously, when you start making your own, these are just how I make mine. If you want to make your loops larger or smaller, then obviously just go ahead and work out how much wire you'll need. But this is just for these guys here. So I take the second step on my plier here, and I make a loop. So just rotate the wrist like so. And then we rotate the plier just around to about here. And literally, they call it breaking the neck, which sounds terrible, doesn't it? But you get the picture. All right, so, what an awful saying. So we've made a little eye pin, essentially. You want to do the same on the other side. I like to do it in the opposite direction, just because I think it just, I don't know really whether it makes it more stable or not, I don't know, but that's just what I like to do. So, whoops, around the second step again. Like so. Rotate your plier around just so it sits about there, and just bend your wire like so. Right, so now what we need to do is just to tidy this up a little bit, because sometimes, you know, things don't go to plan and things aren't perfect, and I quite like just to make sure that everything's nice and neat like so. Oh, if you can hear that, that's my husband sneezing, and he can't just sneeze once, he has to sneeze 40,000 times. Honestly, he sneezes all the time. It's not just one sneeze, it's like 8, honestly. Right, so here we are. Here we got our little base of our wrap. So the next thing we need to do is to come in with your 0.6, 22 gauge, I think that is. And for the bare wraps, the ones without beads, you're going to need, let me just check, I wrote this down, 25 inches, which is about 63 centimetres. So this is where your little measuring tape comes in. I mean, these are only literally my measurements, so you can make them as thick or as thin as you like, but I'm going to suggest about 25 inches. All right, just pop that away. So here we have our length of wire. So take your little base or your stick or whatever you want to call it and place your wire thus, the end of your wire, and literally, it doesn't have to be neat, just wrap it round to anchor it like so. So this is what we have. And then all you do is arbitrarily wrap it around like so, any which way, no rhyme or reason, like so, and then just back on itself, and again just back on itself, although ensuring that you do cover the gaps, if that makes sense. So I would just go over the end there and then round. Now what I like to do is I like to make mine fatter in the middle. All right, so you can make them so that they are straight like so, or you can make them so they are fatter in the middle, a bit like me. I'm fatter in the middle. So can you see the difference in these? So you can either make them chaotically neat or chaotically chaotic. So for these ones, I'm going to make them chaotically chaotic. So you just keep winding around. But instead of keep going right to the edges, you then, as you're going around, start pulling it in towards the centre a little bit. Okay, just wind it round, make an absolute mess of wire. And as you're doing it, rotate it around so that you're not flat on one side. What I found is that when I started having a faff around with these, if I kept this unit facing upwards all the time and didn't rotate it every so often, I would have a chaotic side and I'd have a flat side, and you know, like a neat side, if you will. So every couple of rotations, just literally flip it. That's a tip. Keep going. If you're not quite happy with the way that one is sitting, then just alter it. It's as easy as that. So, because you've started at this end, finish at this end. So you come in with your chain nose and pull that round and tighten, and just snip that guy off close to the loop, like so. And then just come in and tighten that guy there. All right. If you're not happy with anything, you can just give it a bit of a squish if you want, or not. They're supposed to be scrappy, these things. And beautiful in their scrappiness, I would say. A bit like life. Life is a bit scrappy sometimes, isn't it? But we can find beauty in that scrappiness, I think. Right, so that's our first chaos jumble bead made. How cute are those? So can you see how I've made this fat round the middle? And that one's a bit skinnier around the middle. In fact, you know, it doesn't really matter. The whole point of these is that they are fun and scrappy. All right, so that's the unbeaded version made. So let's move on to the beaded versions. Now, I really enjoy putting my little beads on things, as you well know if you've been watching my channel for long enough. I like my little beads with wire. So let's have a look at making these. Now, same principle. You take your 16 gauge 1.25mm wire, flush cut the end, as always, and take your 4 centimetres. Snip that off. Just pop that out of the way there. All right, so we'll make our little stick thing. What's it called? yeah, I don't know, the base, that's it, the base, Sam. Come on, honestly, it's been one of those days. So, move round and form our eye pin. Essentially, that's what it is. And we'll do the same on the other side again. Our little base there. Okay, so I'll just move those out of the way. And again, like before, if you need to, just straighten things up a little bit. Again, nothing in this life is perfect, except for me. Well, I have to keep telling myself that because nobody else in my house does. So anyway, okay, so there we go. Right, so when we made this guy, we used 25 inches of wire. My suggestion is that when we use the beaded ones, because we are adding beads, we don't need quite as much. So I suggest you use about 20 inches for the beaded version. So let me find my tape and we'll measure out our 20 inches this time. And I think it's because we're adding beads, obviously we're adding some bulk to it, so you don't need quite as much. So around 20 inches. So we have our wire here. Now the principle is the same to start. We place our end of our wire here and just literally, arbitrarily, chaotically wind that around like so. Oops, let me just get those out of the way. So we start the way we started before and just wind around a little. So we've got a little base going. And then again, because I like mine to be a little fatter in the middle, I start to concentrate on the centre section now. All right. When you get to about here, so you've got, how many inches is that, give or take? Just for example, so we get down to about 10 inches. So you've used half your wire. Let's start to think now about where to place your beads. So let's come in with these beautiful little Miyuki beads, which are a beautiful colour. And you literally place, I'm saying literally a lot today, good grief. Honestly, I do repeat myself sometimes. I do repeat myself sometimes. I'm going mad. So you pop your little bead on, all right? So the best thing to do with this is, can you see there's a gap here, like a natural gap here in this little section here. So what you would do then is just, I mean, they are chaos beads and they're meant to be chaotic, but there is a little bit of control needed with these because you need to make sure you place the beads in the places where they fit. So you see here, so I've got another bead there, wrap around a couple of times, place another bead on. And that is all you do. You just continue around, placing these beads in the natural gaps. You'll know what I mean when you start to do this yourself. The natural gaps will appear. There's one here, look. It just looks like that's the right place to put one. So we wind around again, and here, another natural gap. But I mean, you know, just put things where you want. The whole point of these little beauties is that they are jumble. So you just keep winding around. There's another natural gap for me here. So I'll pop that on there. Oh, here come the planes, honestly. You hear that? Good grief. Okay, so here's another gap in the system here. So just keep going, winding around, winding around. I'm going to place another one about there. They are beautiful, these, and I just love the sort of chaotic nature of them. Sometimes, you know, things don't have to be too neat, do they? All right, so let's have a look. So I think here we've got another, what I call a natural gap. So there's, you know, room for a bead about there, I would say. All right, so you get to the point now where you think, is that enough? Can I fit any more on? And I don't think I can fit any more on here. Let's have a look. Actually, I'm not quite keen on that there. Oh, maybe that'll stay there. There you go. So wrap it around again. I think that's all I can do for that. So obviously I've got a little bit of leftover wire here, but you know, you can use that for something else. So just snip about here and just tuck these bits of wire in, just so long as they're not tight, not sharp, you know, against the skin. All right, so here is our funky little beaded chaos bead. All right, so that's how you make the ones with beads. I'd go for 20 inches, between sort of 18, 20 inches, something like that. Okay, you can make them thicker, you can make them thinner, you can make them just exactly how you like. The whole point of these is that they are fun and fun. So here's our beaded version. Probably could have made that a little bit fatter, but you know, again, like I said, anything goes. All right, so let's now move on to our earring version. Get rid of these. So for the earring version, I'm going to use, I like red and green together actually, because I think red and green go really well together. Actually, perfect Christmas colours if you're thinking about Christmas. Which those of us who make things in time for Halloween and Christmas, we do things a little early, so I suppose you could. But we're going to make red and green version of this. Okay, so I'm going to be using red and green sparkles. All right, so same principle applies. Let's quickly make our frame. 4 centimetres of wire, which we flush cut. As always, just to make things a little neater, pop that out of the way. And I'll just quickly make this frame whilst you talk amongst yourselves. There we go. And the other side, which is like so. Oop, nope, that was wrong, wasn't it? Let's open that up a little bit. Second step some. There we go. Oh, it's definitely the right beads to be making. I am quite chaotic this week. Have fun. Right. Tidy this up. There we go. Righty-ho. So again, I would suggest about between 18 and 20 inches for your 22 gauge wire. Now, the only tip that I will suggest is that because I'm using glass beads here, most of the beads that we're going to be using, like the crystals, can shatter if you if you wrap them too tightly. So all I'll say is just be careful when you're wrapping these guys not to split your beads, because it's a bit annoying, isn't it, and a bit wasteful. So let's measure out. I'm going to take 20 just to be on the safe side. All right, so let's move all of this out of the way. So again, I'm just not quite happy with that, so let me just move that slightly. There we go, that's better. So let's wind this first portion around. Windy, windy, windy. And windy. All right, so again, jumbly, jumbly. Oops. Just wind this around. Over and over, back over, like so. Just until you're happy with the mess that it's made. You see? Just literally winding and winding in a jumble-y fashion. So we've got about this much of the wire left, so we can start putting on our tiny little red beads, or whatever beads you fancy. And again, just find the natural resting points for your little beads. So I'm going to put another one there, like so, and then just wrap, and another one there. Again, what I call the natural spaces, you know, the natural resting points for your beads. You'll understand what I mean when you do it yourself. So that fits in there quite nicely. And then over, and we'll have one at the back here, like so. Working through the camera again is really difficult actually, guys, so bear with me, especially when your eyesight's going bad like mine is. Honestly, age is a bit of a bummer sometimes, but something to be grateful for, I think. Some people don't get to that. Okay, so around and about, I'm going to put another one in there. I hope you enjoy making these actually, they're really fun. And again, like I always say, if you can sit down in front of the TV in the evening and make something fun and cute, then that's great by me. Not too much effort. Unlike the mandala pendant, which I love myself, but I probably won't do such a long video again. Maybe I will. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you prefer the shorter videos with the more simplistic things, or are you happy to have a look at something a little bit more involved? Righty-ho. So as you can see here, we have our funky jumble bead. That's really cute, isn't it? So let's snip off these ends and pop them in. Snip off this end. I'll just wind that around a little bit more, and snip, and there we go. Okay, so how's that? That's really, really cute, isn't it? Look at that. How cute is that? Sparkly, red, cute, jumbly, wonderful. So let's make this into a pair of into an earring, shall we? And then I'll leave you to it, and you can make whatever you want. So let's go with the 0.6 again. And we're just going to make a wire wrap bead dangle here, all right? So super, super easy. So what I like to do, just come in with my first step, put a little bit of a loop on the end, and let's have a coordinating dangle. So a little red bead and then a sparkly green one. Yeah, that looks cute. So all we're doing here is making a wire wrap loop. You've made these 1,000 times before, haven't you? So here we go, just around. I'll make a wire wrap loop. Come in with your 2 pairs of pliers, like so, and wind this guy around nice and neatly, or not, or you could make it jumbly and make it so it matches the jumble bead, the chaos bead. Snip that off and come in with your plier, just neaten things off like so. So here we go. Right, so now then, all you need to do is decide which side you want to place your dangle. Pop that on, tidy things up like so, and I will just rub an ear wire off here. No, I won't, because that's got a bead on it. So all you need to do now is to come in and make, yes I will, just for demonstration purposes, different coloured beads, but it doesn't matter. Pop your ear wire on, like so, and look at how gorgeous that is. Now these do move around, so if you're not happy with the front of your bead, you can just move things around a little bit. All right, so let's have a look at that. How gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous are they? Beautiful. Hope you have a lot of fun making these little guys, and use all sorts of different beads, lots of different colours. And if you're anything like me and you've had a very chaotic week, then it'd be a really, really good way of releasing lots of energy and lots of frustration. Make your chaos beads. Let me know in the comments how you get along and what you make. And if you're interested, I do have a new Facebook page. If you look in the description box, I will put a link. There's only a few of us in there at the moment, but it's a really nice place for you guys to meet and chat and show everyone what you've been making. It doesn't have to be one of mine tutorials. It can be anybody or just your own or whatever. It's just a really nice, warm, friendly, safe place to have a chat about life in general and jewellery and lots of other things too. So look in the description box for that, and I will see you very shortly for my next tutorial, which will involve making a beautiful scalloped necklace. So I'll speak to you soon, guys. Thanks as always for being here. Bye.